Thank you for joining me this week for our Zhuang Tzu study. This week is a continuation from last week's story. So if you haven't watched last week's Zhuang Tzu story, to have a quick recap of the first part of this story. This story is about knowledge's quest to of the Tao. Knowledge went to the northern part of the river of darkness, and there he met Do Nothing, Say Nothing. He asked Do Nothing, Say Nothing, what can I do to know the Tao, and what path can I pursue to follow the Tao, and to behave according to Tao? And Do Nothing, Say Nothing had no answer. So went he went to the river of politeness, and he went to search in the light dark, and he went to search in the light, and the river of lightness, the river of lightness. He went to the river wild and foolish. He asked the same questions to Wild and Foolish. Wild and Foolish said, I know the answer to your questions. But as he was trying to give the answer, he forgot what the answers are. So again, knowledge didn't get any answers for these questions. So he then went back to the palace. There he went to see the Yellow Emperor, and he asked the Yellow Emperor the same questions. And the Yellow Emperor said, there is no way, no path, no standard, no way to follow to know the Tao. There's no way of thinking or pondering that will get you to the Tao. There's no method, no place to stay that you will follow the Tao. The knowledge then said to the Yellow Emperor, saying, you and I know the answers. Do Nothing, Say Nothing, and Wild and Foolish, they don't know the answers. So who who is the correct one? Who is correct? And Yellow Emperor said, Do Nothing, Say Nothing is the correct, the one who is correct. Wild and Foolish is closed, and you and I means we're nowhere near close to the Tao. And remember the story last time, it ended at this very famous phrase, Wei Dao Ju Ru Su Sui, means to practice the Tao is to do subtraction instead of addition. We always thinking to know something, we're adding to the know, we're doing addition. And the Yellow Emperor said the opposite. It's to do subtraction. It's to get rid of all the fixed ideas, any ideas we have about what the Tao should be. We know Tao Ke Tao Fei Chang Tao. From the first chapter of Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu already told us the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. And Yellow Emperor says, Siswing Ji Yusui Yi Chu Wu Wei means you decrease. You get rid of something little by little every day. We always wanting. We have this. What's this word? Suddenly we're getting it. We want to be able to. We have this realization. Now we know the Tao, and and reality and practice. My guru always also says because oftentimes there seems to be two school of practice. One school is that more focused on sudden enlightenment. The other school of Buddhism is more focused on more practice, daily practice, gradual enlightenment. Rinzai and Soto Zen. Just recently, I went to one of her classes and she was saying the way we practicing is every day we are we are practicing and practicing here, just as Yellow Emperor here says, we we clean a little bit. We are like a mirror covered with dust. And every day we clear a little bit, we clear a little bit, we clear a little bit, and that's the everyday practice. And that's realization is when the dust is clear, suddenly the clear mirror shows. That's the realization. So clearer and clearing, clearing, clearing. The Yellow Emperor says, then we get Wu Wei, effortless power, no doing, no effort. Wu Wei, Wu Wei Yin means effortless doing, yet there is Wu Wei, nothing that cannot be done, nothing that is not done. Sometimes when we that's what actually recently I realized the more it seems the effort we put in, we sometimes interfering with what is the we actually instead of trying to helping we actually interference. I realized that when I was practicing qigong I noticed that if I'm just putting a little attention or effort into how my hands and body move, it doesn't do as well as I just sometimes have to give a little attention. That's all it took. And and the body does what it needs. It's actually better so that the less I put my mind, my thoughts, my effort into the practice, actually the practice is actually is better, which I make me think about this Wu Wei. So, oh, that's what Zhuang Tzu means. I'm saying Wu Wei. Um, so it makes me think about how much we could have been using much less effort, then achieve a much better result, even in some little things we do. For example, everyday life things like like what if we're going to clean dishes? Is there any way we can try and figure out with without less effort and better result? So that's where we ended last week. We're going to continue from that point on. Yellow Emperor continued to say, Jing yi wu wei bu yi wei, which means now we have lost ourselves in a world of things that if we want to return again to the root, it's Yi Nanhu, the Yellow Emperor is saying, I'm afraid that is not easy thing to do. Qi Ying Qing Wei Da Ren Wu means Da Ren Da means big. Then means Ren means person, like a big person. So to be easy, saying that for us, for the part of us who's lost in basically too much attention or identify ourselves totally in the world of things, to want to go back to our roots. It is challenging. It's not as easy. So what's easy for whom it would be easy is Darren. In a way, this is very interesting because in modern spirituality, I often see when people refer to the I to distinguish from the little lower I, we say the bigger I, the capital I. The people often in spiritual context saying the self, also using the capital S self, which means the true self, our deeper truth, which means the big self, our big self. I was thinking maybe that the Yellow Emperor is trying to tell us from if we change from identifying from more identify with a capital I, that means that's the path to for us to return back to the root of our source of being. This next phrase, the sixth section, I really like. Yellow Emperors talk about life and death. Let's see what his view of the relationship between life and death. He says, life is a companion of death, and death is the beginning of life. And what is life? What is death? Life is when we're alive, we're where death means the end, but period, ending. That is no more, no more. Then the sentence ended this period. And here we have the Yellow Emperor telling us life and death are companions. It's kind of like the back of a hand and the front of our hand. It's part of the one. And then death is the beginning of life. And I would say, we can also say life is the beginning of death. So he's talking about a circle, about a round circle. A circle. Everything is the beginning of the other thing. Yellow Emperor says, who understands how life and death work? So what is life? Life is Qi Ju Ji. Ju means coming together. It's Qi. Qi coming together, and that is when life starts. And then the Qi separates, dissipates. That is when death begins. So coming together is life, separation is death, life continuation. The essence of life and death are companions. So what do we have to worry about? We worry about death. What do we have to worry about? Life and death are companions. Wu wei you wu yi. Therefore, we explain this to everything, the whole world, we see that the whole world is as one. It means yi means one. It's us. We separate the world. The things we like that. We think that's pretty. It's beautiful. We want we want more of that. We separate the other things as we consider them as ugly. We consider them as rotten, as false, as we don't like those. And Yellow Emperor says we don't realize once we consider Wu Yi like a circle is one, right? There's no beginning, no ending. And circle also interchange. So what we consider as ugly, as rotten, can turn into something that's amazing, that's beautiful. That when we think of beautiful, can also turn into something that's amazing. A beautiful can turn into some other way into something that's considered as ugly. I mean, certainly we all realize that we like a nice, beautiful fragrance of a flower as pretty into our room when something is good. The fragrance of a flower, even Chinese medicine is believed it can open up, it can lift up our spirits, it can help us to open up our energy. And really thinking it's rotten, just use this example as something we don't like the smell or bad it's bad. But if you look at the overall, we also need those little creatures that make put things down. That's why the rotten smell is breaking down. Only when the mineral is breaking down it can become nutrients for new plants. So then the cycle begins. The nutrients and the plants, they can grow, become vegetables, become flowers, and and in the ecosystem we are thinking this this cycle this cycle of material. And that's here what the other emperor is saying. 物也天下一气儿. Tisha means the whole world. Yiqi is as one. It was created by this one qi, this one energy. Xingren Wu Rei. Xingren means those who really understand and follow the Tao. Gui Yi means they never ceases to value the oneness. They can see the oneness in everything. The oneness from the Tao, the oneness from the real, outside of the oneness. Knowledge said to the Yellow Emperor, I asked, do nothing, say nothing. And the Chinese name is Wu Wei Wei. So you see this guy name has Wu Wei in his name. Wei means Wei means speak. That's why it's translated as do nothing, say nothing. When I went to when I went to ask, do nothing, say nothing, he did not reply to me. He said, now I know it wasn't that he really didn't reply to me. It means he didn't know how to reply to me. 不知我意, because do nothing, say nothing truly knows the Tao, truly knows that in a way, for those who truly know the Tao, knows that there's no answer to your words to reply to knowledge's question. Because whenever you say that's not really a complete, the true Tao, I've been asked wild and foolish. and he was about to explain to me. However, he did not say anything. He wasn't that he wouldn't explain to me, but when he was about to explain, he forgot what it was. Wang Zhi. So this this is why Yellow Emperor said wild and foolish is close to nothing say nothing. Although it's not truly one who knows the Tao, because he still thinks that he knows the answers, the correct answer to those questions. However, he's close because he was able to forget. Knowledge continued to say, now I have asked you, do you know the answers? Why then do you say that you're nowhere near being right? It seems to be a question is kind of recycling back to at the beginning when Knowledge asked Yellow Emperor the question. Yellow Emperor answered him, and he had a question to the Yellow Emperor saying who is right. So this is kind of like cycling back. Yellow Emperor said again, do nothing, say nothing is the one who is truly right because he doesn't know. Wild and foolish, and he appears to be so because he forgets. But you and I, in the end, are nowhere near it because we know. Yemper Emperor said knowledge and Yellow Emperor, they are still functioning in the mind. And wild and foolish always forgets. He still has maybe a little bit tiptoe stepped into the mind, but he forget means most of the time he is able to probably uh, behave or operate, but not in the mind. And do nothing, say nothing, certainly because he doesn't know. It means he's not operating at that fully just all in the mind. So later, Wild and Foolish heard about this conversation between Knowledge and the Yellow Emperor, and he said that the Yellow Emperor knows what he is talking about, which just means this conversation between the Knowledge and the Yellow Emperor is a conversation that is closest to understanding the Tao. Closest. We realize here the wild and foolish made that conclusion. Do nothing, say nothing gets what he is doing, what he has heard this conversation. So that's the end of this little story. So I hope you enjoyed this story. Thank you for reading this together with me. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next time. Take care.